How's everybody doing post-eclipse? I hope you're well. I hope that's fared well for you. So I'm here to talk to you a little bit about May's energies. So here we go. May is going to be a very, very busy month, and moving forward in the next few months, we're going to have a lot of planetary events. And I'm going to be selective about which ones I speak to you about because it can get a little bit overwhelming, which is why I'm going to do this little video just to kind of wrap things up for you, because we can get into the details. And if you like the details, you can check my Patreon. You can join my $4 monthly Patreon to get my forecast and the dates that I put in there specifically, with all the sort of planetary connections that happen, and also the calendar for the month that I attached to my post. But here I'm just gonna keep it a bit simple and say that we have a very highly charged month. So the the energies are strong and they're flowing strong. We have a pretty dominant Aries energy, even though we are in Taurus season and moving into Gemini season towards the end of the month. However, we have Venus just enters Aries on the 2nd, and we'll have Jupiter leaving Pisces for Aries on May 10th, and Mars eventually moves into Aries towards the end of the month on the 24th. So already we are, we're in that fiery zone. We're in that Aries take action and impulsive and also courageous and all those awesome Aries qualities as well. So keep that in mind, because the sun is still in Taurus, so we're hopefully in that foundationally kind of stable and secure mode. And as we move into Gemini season, we're going to be starting to feel a little bit more kind of mentally active and awakened. Our connection to others, our communication with others will start to, kind of awaken. For now, though, that Taurus sun is hopefully keeping y'all grounded, or at least thinking about how to ground yourself. I want to say that a couple important things this month we want to keep in mind is that there's a lunar eclipse on the 16th. And while we just had the solar eclipse that happened, eclipses are called eclipse seasons for a reason, because they happen back to back, often 2 eclipses back to back and sometimes 3. So we're going to have the second one of the duo happening on the 16th of May, and that'll be the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Not gonna lie, that's going to be an intense, it's a full moon already, which is about sort of revelations, and sometimes tough revelations, important revelations. And so as an eclipse, it's only going to be more potent. So I want to mention that because that is already energies that we're seeped into at the moment. A couple weeks prior to an eclipse, we start to feel it coming on, which is why, again, they call it eclipse season, because right from one we go into the other. And then I want to mention Mercury stationing retrograde on the 22nd. So we'll be in its pre-shadow phase, which is sort of like the 2 weeks before, where we start to kind of feel like the slowing down and sort of like ready to move backwards vibe of Mercury, which means communication can get wonky at this time. And Mercury will be is in the sign of Gemini, which already makes it very hectic and busy-minded. And so we really want to think about hiccups in terms of our communication with folks we know, folks we work with, people in our lives, just random people we interact with on the street, in our day-to-day. And also our thoughts. We may find ourselves going down rabbit holes of sort of past mindsets and ways we used to see things may pop up again and throw in wrenches for us. And so this one can be a little bit of a pesky retrograde. That's really the only word I have for it. So keep that in mind as well, because that will be kind of it'll be a big event for the month. And Pluto was already retrograde, and I want to mention that with planets like Pluto and Uranus and Neptune, sort of like those faraway planets that move real slow, we may not feel their impact in the same way that we do with the our personal planets like Mercury, which is more like we feel the impact in a day-to-day kind of way in our daily life. However, when it comes to something like Pluto, it's more like a shadowy backdrop, kind of like a background thing. And so, we may find ourselves kind of reassessing our relationship to power, fear, control, our truth. And so we may not be aware of the impact of the Pluto retrograde bringing these things up for us. However, it will be doing its thing in the background, slow and steady. So I just want to highlight that, because that retrograde is going to be there right alongside Mercury as well. So let's get back to the major events. I'll have more videos, hopefully a couple more coming up throughout the month, so stay tuned. As we kind of move through the different planetary connections. I'm not going to talk about all of them right now. There's quite a bit. Again, you can join Patreon to get the details. I do just want to say that this is a very passionate and inspiring month, to put it positively. It can also be an explosive and impulsive month. It could be a bit volatile as well. So depending on how you kind of flow through what comes your way, you may kind of oscillate between those things, right? And nothing is greater than having that courageous Aries energy, that drive to go after your desires, to pursue your passions and your purpose. This is a great month for that, and you don't want to sleep on this incredible cosmic moment. However, discernment is key, and you want to think about how to balance inspired action versus like processing and thinking before saying and doing things, and like making these important life decisions. So think about that, because you want to find that balance to make the most of this month, to go after what it is you want to go after, however, in a way that isn't going to bite you in the ass, right? And I mean, if it does, then it does. Better to go after what you want. That's what I say. So Taurus is there to keep us foundationally steady in some way. So lean into that for sure. And try to just kind of like ground yourself there, because of that sort of Aries and Gemini energies that can be chaotic and frantic. And Gemini is a happy home for Mercury. It is, though, a very busy and quick-paced, a fast place for our thoughts and communication to be. So, it may throw in wrenches, and especially, as I mentioned, with the retrograde. So you want to be mindful of those things. So like practice breathing and grounding like it's a full-time job this month. Maybe a part-time job. I don't know. Anyway, I just also want to add that this is like the lunar eclipse is really going to be a metamorphosis. So get ready for like a very transformational lunation on the 16th. That's all I'll say about it here, because I'm definitely going to be posting about it on social media. I may have a YouTube video just specifically speaking on that eclipse. And of course, my Patreon folks are going to get their readings on the 16th. So I'll just leave it as that. Just think about a metamorphosis coming your way in some area of your life. So Pisces, with Jupiter moving from Pisces into Aries, we want to think about this big shift, because Jupiter in Pisces, such a beautiful place for Jupiter to be. However, in Aries, it is a very, very different vibe for Jupiter. It's a bit more of an aggressive kind of, I don't know if Jupiter, maybe more of a go-getter sort of assertive Jupiter. And so you want to think about sort of a rigidity that may come with Jupiter being here around beliefs and opinions and, our perceptions. We may not be as open to other ways of seeing things and accessing compassion the same way that Jupiter would have offered to us when it was in Pisces. So this could also be a bit of a challenge, especially given the Mercury retrograde as well, and also the current times we're living in. So not super excited about Jupiter and Aries in that regard. However, what I am excited about is the confidence it will bring us, that sort of expanded energy of like, I can, I will, I'm going to go after again, which is why I'm saying it's a great month for going after what it is that we want. I just want to mention that it's going to be in Aries. Jupiter's going to be in Aries until October, end of October, October 22. And then the retrograde will bring it back to Pisces for a short stint until December, where it will go back into the end of December when it goes back into Aries again. So keep that in mind. We're just going to have a shorter stint in Aries and then go back to Pisces. So this isn't going to be like for a longer period of time. So we'll see what this moment brings us collectively and also personally. And if you're interested in knowing how this shift will impact you, book a transit reading with me and I'll let you know what this shift with Jupiter in Aries is going to be for you. So what I'm really looking forward to is Venus entering Taurus at the very end of the month. So not for the entire month, of course, but it's going to be hopefully all the romance and sensual side of things. That's what I'm hoping to be delving into. But that's not till the end of the month. So technically, I mean, we're really looking at June for that. So overall, in terms of kind of romantic and love connections this month, I would say it's a great month for rekindling romance. And it's also a great month to pursue folks that you're interested in romantically, anyone that you've been meaning to kind of connect with in that way. It's also a great month to expand business and creative endeavors. Now, be mindful of Mercury retrograde, of course, but don't hold back. Yes, it can be pesky and get in our way, but we don't pause, and like freak out and go hide under a rock because it's Mercury retrograde. I mean, yes, we're going to be mindful and try to ground, get into that Taurus vibe. And also, let's get into that Aries energy that's being offered to us with the other planets, right? And let's use Venus in Aries energy, and let's use, let's just use all that good fiery energy to get us like driven and courageous about leaping into some of the things that we want to get into business-wise, creatively, and romantically. So that's kind of it for my breakdown. At the moment, I will be back on YouTube with some more info for you, hopefully, and especially for the lunar eclipse. Other than that, I wish you well. I hope you fared well with the recent eclipse that just passed. And again, don't fear eclipses or retrogrades. This is life. These are energies. They flow. We just control the way we take care of ourselves. We control ourselves in those loving ways, not in ways of controlling outcome, right? We want to control how we care for ourselves and how we set up our routine for the month. And that's why knowing the energies ahead of time for me has been such a game changer in my life since I delved deeper into astrology over the last few years, even more so than ever. And just knowing what's coming up and how it's going to impact me helps me control in some way in terms of preparation, right? Like, okay, this is going to be intense, this is what I'm going to do. Or this is going to be a great time to do this, I'm going to not miss this opportunity. However, in other ways, we just have to let go and be open to changes, be open to what comes our way. No matter how tough and no matter how, we get through it, right? Anyways, sending lots of care your way, and as always, feel free to contact me with any questions and comments.